pretty significant reversal in Trump's stance on Ukraine, right?
Yeah. Also, he always sounds like he just Googled Ukraine for the first time when he talks about this. Or Googled Putin for the first time. I didn't know this guy's such a dick. Some people say he was KGB.
Welcome to Pod Save America. I'm John Favreau.
I'm Tommy Uthor.
John Lovett is still on vacation.
Eat, pray, love. 2.0.
He has missed some good stuff.
He's gonna be so pissed when he realizes it. I wonder if he's doing a news blackout.
That's the kind of thing that he would do.
Well, Tim Miller did
I wasn't able to do that.
News blackout.
Ever. I know.
During the Epstein week, which is very funny.
Tim, Dan, Lovett, all on vacation during this breaking news. Anyway, there's some other things we're going to talk about today. We got a Trump flip-flop on Ukraine, more tariff threats, Biden's interview with the New York Times on his autopen pardons, some good news and some horrifying news on deportations, and J.D. Vance getting booed at the happiest place on earth. But, of course, we will start with Epstein. If you had told me a week ago, when you and I first did this on last Tuesday's pod, that we would be leading the show with it today, a week later, I would not have believed you.
You would have been psyched.
But here we are. The president dropped a post on Truth Social over the weekend that has only made his fans angrier. He wrote, quote, "What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals."
So weird. The phrasing is so weird.
They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. Trump went on to accuse anyone who has questions about his administration's decision not to release the Epstein files, quote, selfish people who are trying to hurt him, quote, over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. He also said that the real authors...
Pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah.
That's kind of the
he never died.
Controversy.
I think. Well, I actually know. I thought that was a clever line. Actually, it's like he's dead, but he never dies.
He lives on.
Yeah, because we're still talking about him. That's sort of how I took it. Anyway, that's just a small thing. Trump also said that the real authors of the Epstein files are none other than Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden.
Incredible. I
think Comey was in there too. Brennan.
Sure.
All the deep state faves.
All the hits.
Trump's post broke records for the amount of replies it got. Fortunately for him, all of them were negative. Just about all of them were negative. Meanwhile, there is wagons circling and finger pointing at the Justice Department. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino took a mental health day on Friday. They called it a mental health day after getting in a fight at the White House with Pam Bondi. CNN reports that Trump is apparently furious with Bongino, and it's still unclear whether he'll resign this week, though CNN also reports that he's in a better headspace this week.
Sure.
So I guess the mental health day worked. Laura Loomer, who incredibly first broke the Bongino news, is also calling for a special counsel now to investigate everything. And MAGA's biggest stars, many of whom spoke at the Turning Point USA Summit over the weekend, are very publicly expressing their anger towards the White House in a way I don't think we've ever heard. Let's listen.
In the most polite way, I'm like, give us the Epstein list now.
It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this?
I hope that President Trump will fix this by firing Pam Bondi.
Who would you guys prefer, Bongino or Bonnie? Okay, 7,000 to 0.
They want Dan.
How many of you are satisfied? You can clap. Satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation? Clap.
So it was Laura Ingraham, Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson. We heard, who else do we hear in there? I think Benny Johnson was in there.
Bannon was there.
The whole crew.
Tucker.
Would you say this is the biggest MAGA revolt Trump has ever faced? Why do you think this has become such a big deal and it has such staying power?
It's definitely the biggest MAGA revolt. Also, I guess credit to Turning Point USA for having all those conversations.
Surprised.
It's a little surprising, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they kind of know where their base is and they can't.
It's sort of the theme of the whole conference.
Yeah. I was trying to think about other things that were as unpopular or if they came close. Like, obviously, the COVID policies were not popular, like Fauci generally, masks, vaccines. Anything he said that was nice about immigrants, like the Dreamers, led to a reaction from some quarters of the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
Like, there were some other dust-ups. Like, remember when in 2019, he talked about pulling out of Syria And then that pissed off the neocons. And then they said, oh, just kidding. We flip-flopped. And then that pissed off like Tucker Carlson. Like there were a few like moments.
The Iran stuff briefly.
Yeah, the Freedom Caucus doesn't like the spending from time to time. But like nothing has united the entire MAGA coalition like this. It is the traditional Fox News Republicans. It's the right-wing kind of media influencer class. It's the TPUSAs, the Tucker Carlsons, the Charlie Kirk, the Steve Bannons. And then it's like the far-right loony fringe. It's Alex Jones. They're all furious. They're all equally furious. And I think it's a big deal for a lot of reasons. Like, first of all, I think some of them genuinely believe there's an evil cabal of liberals harming children and that they're being protected by the government and they want Trump to do something about it. There's some that think the Epstein list includes all the people they hate the most, namely Bill Clinton. I think Benny Johnson, who, for those who don't know, lucky you, he's a multi-time plagiarist who got a job at TPUSA now. He outlined a 4-part plan for how Trump could fix his political problem that includes, quote, drag in Bill Clinton for questioning as step 4, right? So you can tell what he cares about. And then I think others just smell bullshit and they feel insulted. And Pam Bondi going from saying, oh, the files are on my desk, I'm reviewing them, to there are no files, to Obama wrote them, is just absurd.
Yeah, Trump's sort of like central belief, or at least the belief he encouraged people to have for the last decade, is that there is like a deeply corrupt establishment in politics that like takes care of itself, screws everyone else, right? The Epstein case is like a prime example of that.
The worst example.
And his promise when he ran both times, 3 times, I guess, was, you elect me and I will expose and destroy this corrupt establishment.
Yeah, drain the swamp.
And now, not only is he not exposing or releasing more of the Epstein files, but I think what's really pissed them off is he's saying, if you have questions about it, fuck you.
Yeah, shut up.
Like, you're a selfish asshole. And then he's insulting people's intelligence by saying that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton,
So funny.
I guess like Candace Owens today was like, I don't think I'll ever forgive Donald Trump for making me defend Barack Obama.
That's pretty good, Candace.
But like, I don't know. I think that's a pretty foundational, because it's the first time where they're like, oh, he's lying, like he's lying to me.
He's lying. Jeffrey Epstein died in 2019. Barack Obama was probably golfing somewhere.
Yeah, and some of his lies they don't care about because they're like, oh, I know he's sort of lying,
Right?
You know, like I think you're right. Like for a good chunk of the MAGA base, maybe they don't think that there's a cabal of pedophile Democrats running the world, right? But they do think that there's a lot of sleaziness in government and that people are covering a lot of shit up,
Right?
Because he led them to believe that. Right. And now he's saying, no, it's fine.
And he also said, I alone can fix it. And now he's clearly just refusing to follow through on his promise.
I also think, imagine if the way he handled this was, look, obviously there's a lot of files, but we got to protect these victims. And there's nothing else there. We thought there was something else there. I looked through it all. Justice Department looked, there's nothing else there. And just like left it at that. People would still be pissed, but I think the way he's handled it is so much worse.
The rollout has been baffling. You had Pam Bondi saying she was reviewing the files. The files are on my desk. I think that was in February. Mm-hmm. She invited all those influencers to the White House. She handed them binders that said Epstein Files Part 1 or Phase 1. And they all looked like fools. They were all humiliated when they held them up and did photo
dancing
ops.
Around like fucking idiots.
Yeah, and then they had Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI, and Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, do this kind of slow rollout where they started doing interviews where they said, no, actually, Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself. And then all of a sudden, there's this exclusive report in Axios on a Sunday after July 4th weekend with this 2-page memo that's like, basically, if you keep asking questions, you're part of the problem. And they released this so-called tape proving Epstein didn't kill himself, or proving Epstein killed himself, that's missing a minute and was exported into like Adobe Premiere or whatever, editing software. And like everything about the rollout and execution has been a disaster.
Also, I hadn't I looked again at the original statement that the Justice Department put out, which of course was like unsigned by anyone. And the words they used is there's no incriminating client list. Which is like it's like, okay, that's very specific.
Right.
Maybe there's a client list, but it's not incriminating. Maybe it's not a list. Maybe it's files. Like it was a little too specific to write that.
Yeah, because I guess you can't say there's no client list because he had a job, right? He was like a financial something's advisor to these creeps.
Yeah. And, we both, I think, has started it like, oh, it's funny that all these conspiracy-minded people are now, pissed off and everything. But then, like, maybe we've gone a little bit down the rabbit hole. So last summer, so this has been floating around today, Max Tanney at Semaphore reported that Fox News edited an interview with Trump to remove part of his answer on whether he'd declassify the Epstein files. What viewers saw on Fox was Trump saying, yeah, I would. But the full answer, which only appeared later, is now going viral. Here it is.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
Yes, I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one.
It'd be interesting.
Now, first of all, Donald Trump has assured us that a media outlet editing a candidate's answer in the heat of a campaign constitutes the biggest election hoax in history.
Indeed.
The biggest media scandal in history. So I imagine a lawsuit against Fox and a settlement is forthcoming, right?
I'm not really kidding. Like, Kamala Harris should sue them just for fun.
That's a good idea.
Right? Why not?
Kamala Harris should
There's
sue.
precedent.
Yeah. And of course, the interviewer there was Rachel Campos Duffy, who is married to the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, who serves in the administration. NASA administrator,
Acting.
Former Real World Road Rules co-host. And they met there. So that's what's happening there. But yeah, just Trump answering there, that like there's some stuff. We don't want any fake stuff ruining people's reputations.
Yes, the Fox edit is wild. I'd never seen the juxtaposition of the long and the short version until recently. That said, I had noticed that his Epstein answers were always like way less enthusiastic. When he's asked about the 9/11 files, he's like, yeah, of course we'll put them out. The JFK stuff, he answers no problem. With Epstein, there's always hesitation. Like I remember this from the Lex Friedman podcast. This was during the 2024 campaign. Lex says, quote, there's a moment where you had some hesitation about Epstein releasing some of the documents on Epstein. Why the hesitation? Donald Trump says, I don't think, I'm not involved. I never went to his island, fortunately, but a lot of people did. They do a little back and forth. So a little bit later, Lex Friedman says, it's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public. Trump says, it's very interesting, isn't it? It probably will be, by the way, probably. If you're able to, and Lex is like, if you're able to release it, will you? And he says, yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because that's so many years ago. They do that for Danger Bubble. He like pivots right to Kennedy.
And then he was also like, at least with on Fox, he was like, and certainly the January 6th files. Yeah. Certainly I'll get those out there. I think Trump is genuinely concerned that his name is in the files somewhere. Not necessarily as like a client on a client list. And, he seems more sure that he's like, oh, I didn't go to the island, right? But like, why bring up the island, right? Like, so he knows that he's not on the client list. He didn't go to the island. But he gets, because now he's been through a criminal trial and a few other charges and he's seen indictments, he gets that sometimes your name is mentioned in an indictment or in court records. And even if even if you're not charged, even if you're not a co-conspirator, or sometimes because of hearsay. And so, I think because he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for so long, because he hung out with him a lot, because he's been on his plane, he thinks he's in there somewhere.
Yeah, and we know this also. Well, Bill O'Reilly talked to Trump about Epstein recently. I think this was back in March. Bill O'Reilly's quote was, I talked to Trump man to man, eye to eye on St. Patrick's Day about
very
this.
Uncomfortable.
And he said there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. And he's concerned that if those names get out, those people will be destroyed. So at a bare minimum, he thinks a bunch of his friends are in those records somewhere, and maybe him. Look, I'm with you. Look, I used to think the conspiracy was hiding in plain sight. Jeffrey Epstein was a rich, powerful scumbag who used his money and his connections to get away with horrific, horrific crimes. I just sort of assumed that was the whole thing. But the way Trump has handled this has metastasized this conspiracy in so many different ways. It's kind of hard to keep track of it.
At first, I thought it's either Trump or like friends that he's worried about. But then I thought to myself, when has Trump ever been concerned about his friends?
No. They were
and what
buddies for
friends does he
decades.
have? This is why I think this is why I think he's worried about his name.
Yeah.
He's never been worried about anyone else, even if he doesn't even fucking care about his family.
Yeah. They knew each other for like 20 years. I mean, they hung out in New York. They hung out in Florida. There's video of them. There's Jeffrey Epstein saying...
Hanging out at Mar-a-Lago.
Hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, like ogling women on camera. There's a 2017 quote of Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff where Epstein says he was his closest friend.
Yep.
There was a report that Trump considered pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell in his first term. Like, there's a lot of smoke here.
There was a report that Trump said at one point, like, "Oh, Jeffrey likes girls and he likes them young."
Verbatim quote. I think he said it's like New York Magazine.
Yes.
Great guy, loves beautiful women. Likes them really young though. It was like really creepy.
Yeah. So, I think he's got a legitimate concern here.
Here we go. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it.
I mean,
what more do we need? What more do we need?
Well, this is what I'm saying is like, this stuff's all out there. So like, what else is in the files?
Right. Can't be worse than that.
All right. So we're now at the point in a typical Trump scandal where, for a week, everyone freaks out and kind of says what they actually believe. And but now, word has gone out to MAGA media and influencers that it is time to shut the fuck up.
Yes.
And talk about something else. Charlie Kirk, who Trump reportedly asked to tone it down in a phone call over the weekend, said on Monday, quote, "I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration." Fox News didn't have a single mention of Epstein as of noon on Monday. And, the DOJ and FBI are saying that everyone's getting along swimmingly now. There's this new CNN report that maybe Bongino's, he's better now and he's reconsidering quitting. Do you think this will work?
No. Although I think CNN reported that no one senior at DOJ had talked to Dan Bongino since Wednesday. So we're kind of just like...
But he's back at work today, apparently.
Well, we're like yada, yada-ing the part where the deputy FBI director is just not doing his job.
You just quiet quit.
5 days is quiet quitting. I think Trump can silence parts of like the MAGA like professional class. Like
the biggest sycophants.
Right. Like Charlie Kirk is the perfect example. Like TPUSA needs access to Trump officials. It's this symbiotic relationship. I think Charlie will try to like calm the storm to preserve his relationship, but I just don't think that is going to work on the rank and file and on the base. And I think that's actually really dangerous for Trump, for MAGA, for Charlie Kirk, for the country, because Charlie Kirk's competition is not like the lame kind of centrist traditional Republicans. It's Nick Fuentes and guys to the far, far right. Nick Fuentes is out there saying Trump's a joke. MAGA is dead. It's over. This statement, that he put out the other day is ridiculous. And like, I can't remember if I talked to you about this or if it was Ben on Pod Save the World. One night, because I'm just a sicko, I watched a 2-hour and 40-minute debate on InfoWars hosted by Alex Jones between Dinesh D'Souza and Nick Fuentes.
We have talked.
On Iran. And I was doing my own research. And Nick Fuentes is a bad dude. He's genuine questions of the Holocaust, real neo-Nazi shit. But my takeaway from it was a really substantive debate. It did not get ugly. Alex Jones kept jumping in because he wanted them to fight each other more viciously. It was and what I came away.
You thought they were just making some good points.
What I came away thinking was Fuentes is dangerous, right? If you can present as reasonable in that context for that long in a debate with someone who is, like Dinesh D'Souza, I don't respect him. I don't think he's an honest person, but he's a professional debater. I think you could convince a lot of people to follow you and that your other neo-Nazi views are they seem less fringe.
I had that concern today, seeing what Laura Loomer's been up to, which is she's using her connections in MAGA world to actually break news. And so then people take her a little more seriously because she's breaking news, which is valuable to media outlets and people like us who talk about the news, right? And then now that she's taken seriously and people go to her for quotes, she can espouse all of her hateful, crazy views.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with sometimes. I'm should I be retweeting these people? Because I want to make sure reporters all see that there is this tumult within the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
I'm And it's not like, am I platforming her? It's like, should I just be promoting these people generally? And then I remember Laura Loomer got the head of the NSA fired. So like, horses out of the barn.
She's a mover
here.
and shaker.
She's like got some influence.
I do think, he can get Charlie Kirk back on board, and I think Fox will be like, the people at Fox will be like the first to get back on board, right?
Right.
But
they'll be like, who are we invading?
I can see the news cycle moving on because it just does, and he'll do other things and say other things. But this is one of those things that goes like back underground into the swamps of the internet, and it just keeps circulating. And the Nick Fuentes of the world and Laura, like there's people who are still going to be pissed about this for a long time. And next time Trump pisses his base off with something, this will get brought up.
Yes, and conspiracy theories like this that are kind of like blobs with no boundaries and amorphous, they just evolve to like envelop current events. Like I think I mentioned to you how I saw some kind of conservative influencers saying that the DOJ memo that went out about Epstein in the first place was timed for Bibi Netanyahu's visit because they all think that Epstein was like a Mossad asset. And it's just going to be like shit like that, like over and over and over.
Or Naftali Bennett, having to respond today, former prime minister of Israel, be like, he's not Mossad, I promise.
He's no ties to Israeli intelligence. Like,
okay. Did you see Lara Trump on Benny Johnson's show? Lara Trump said, "There needs to be more transparency. I think that will happen. I know this is important to the president. He's going to want to set things right. I believe there will be more coming, and anything they're able to release, they will try to get out. They hear it and understand it." What did you make it? I'm interested in that.
Interesting. I mean, like the basic demand that seems like it would satisfy someone like Megyn Kelly is let me sit down with Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino for a 2-hour interview where I get to ask anything I want. Like putting those three in front of a Trump sort of sycophantic journalist, it makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't you do that?
I also think that they are not necessarily above putting out fake information or information that is real, but just not the full story. Like I was sort of, not to give them any ideas, but I've been wondering why they don't just like, if there's stuff they're worried about, not release that and then just give some chum to everyone on other issues.
I think they could definitely do that. My guess for why a smart but evil person involved in these conversations would think that's risky is that I think a lot of people have probably seen these files that are kind of in the professional workforce.
And FBI,
yeah, they're in the FBI, like New York office, or they worked on the 2008 case down in Florida, right? And there's just like a lot of ways it could leak.
Yeah, that's true. Dan Bongino, like, how does he stay in the job? He takes the mental health day. He's been doing these podcasts, and now he's just going to be like, no, I'm okay.
Just for people who don't know, like, take a second, Google Dan Bongino. His head looks like Minecraft. He looks so jacked. He's like a roided up dude. He was a twin. I think there were 2 Secret Service agents. Remember? He was like on Obama's detail for a long guy.
Yeah, that's where they wrote the Epstein files together.
Right. And then Dan ran for office 3 different times unsuccessfully, but pivoted to being a very successful podcaster. But he has a crazy temper and anger management problem. And there's this clip of him screaming at this reporter named Mark Caputo, who now works at Axios, that Caputo published shortly after it happened, where he's just like losing his mind. But to your question, like the only way Bongino can stay in the job is because ultimately in the Trump world, there is one boss and his name is Donald Trump, and no one else's opinion matters because like Trump, like the deputy director job, it's not Senate confirmed. There's not a lot of accountability. Like Trump announced the pick of both Patel and Bongino, but there's reporting that Patel actually chose Dan to be his deputy and did so after he told, I think it was like the retired FBI association, that he would pick a career FBI officer to serve in that job.
Which is what usually happens.
Literally
Always.
every time. Literally every time.
Never not happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So he lied to them. But like technically, Dan Bongino reports to DOJ. He reports to Pam Bondi, and he apparently screamed at his boss in the White House.
You could also see a situation where Bongino stays in the job for now and then tries to just like leave in a couple months because of something else, or at least tries to claim that it was for some other reason.
Ambassador to Liechtenstein.
More mental health days.
Yeah.
Democrats in Congress, like Ro Khanna and Mark Veazey of Texas, want to force a vote on legislation that would require DOJ to release all the files. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, Roe's trying to attach his amendment to this cryptocurrency bill that's kind of sailing through the House.
Yeah.
So I think it'll get voted down because they'll claim it's like non-germane to the underlying legislation, as if that has like prevented them from doing this in the past. But I think as many bad votes for Republicans on this issue is good. I support the other proposals as well. I think like the obvious caveats, right? You don't want to release anything that would put out information about the victims and
Right.
harm them. You don't want to do anything that would help Ghislaine Maxwell get her case thrown out on appeal. So I didn't realize this until today. Apparently DOJ has until today, July 14th, to respond to her appeal. Because she wants to go up to the Supreme Court. And the Trump Solicitor General has delayed their response to her demands twice.
I also saw that she like sources say she's willing to offer more testimony about this
to Congress.
To Congress.
Let's fire up the Zoom.
And this is why I like the vote thing too, is because either Mike Johnson tries to block the vote, and which is going to just piss off the base even more, or he allows the vote. And I think that thing passes because there's enough House Republicans who are pissed about this that you could see it passing. And then you could imagine DOJ stonewalling and just saying like, fuck you, we're not releasing it. Like, I don't care what Congress says. But at the very least, I think they get pressure to like have Cash, Bongino, Bondi come to the Hill and testify. Like that has to be coming.
Well, those guys, I think statutorily will have to go to the Hill at some point, right?
Right.
Like there's the yearly threat assessment hearing, or there's like general routine committee oversight hearing. So they're going to be up on the Hill at some point anyway. And Democrats in those settings should ask about nothing but this over and over and over again.
And ideally, like a Democrat should reach out to some crazy Republican who's pissed about this and sort of like coordinate questions on this and just be like, on this issue, let's kind of, work together.
No doubt. But like Ghislaine Maxwell, she is arguing that the 2008 non-prosecution agreement that was given to Jeffrey Epstein included all of her associates and should have prevented her prosecution in this latest case. So that she's trying to get that to go to the Supreme Court. You have to imagine her lawyer is also trying to get some sort of appeal, as politically untenable as that would be.
Yeah.
And maybe once it is confirmed that will not be happening, hence the delays, she decides to speak her truth to some journalist somewhere.
Just wait till Trump pardons her on his way out the door, and also just fucks JD Vance's campaign.
Absolutely.
That's an ending
Couldn't
I
have
could
it
see.
a nicer guy.
Today's presenting sponsor is Simply Safe Home Security. With all the current political social concern, for example, noise from the other party. That's the suggestion. Given all the noise from the other party, making everyone feel on edge, having proactive control over your home safety is huge. I don't like seeing the bipartisan version of this ad. I don't want to know that there's some Republican out there being like, given what the Democrats are up to.
Those
That's
libs.
bullshit. Makes me feel unsafe. Unlike Simply Safe, which makes me feel safe, most security systems only take action after someone breaks in. That's too late. Simply Safe's new Active Guard outdoor protection helps stop break-ins before they happen. If someone's lurking, agents talk to them in real time, turn on spotlights, and can call the police, proactively deterring crime before it starts. Named Best Home Security System of 2025 by CNET, 4 million plus Americans trust Simply Safe. Ranked #1 in customer service by Newsweek and USA Today. I've set up a Simply Safe, incredibly easy to do, works great, and the customer support was incredibly reliable. The app was incredibly reliable, just had a great experience. Monitoring plan starts at around $1 per day, 60-day money-back guarantee, no contracts, no hidden fees. Visit simplysafe.com/crooked to claim 50% off a new system with a professional monitoring plan and get your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/crooked. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Pod Save America is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon makes...
old friends.
Oh, yeah, there they are. Magic Spoon makes high-protein, zero-sugar cereal and treats reinvented from your childhood, and now Magic Spoon is also launching a brand new high-protein granola.
Ooh, I tried some of this in our kitchen here. It was really good.
Really good. I'm excited about that. We love Magic Spoon. If you love Magic Spoon cereal, you're going to love their treats and granola. Magic Spoon's high-protein treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. They come in flavors like marshmallow, chocolate, peanut butter, and dark chocolate. Magic Spoon's brand new granola packs 13 grams of protein and 0 added sugar. They come in delicious flavors like dark chocolate, almond, honey almond, and peanut butter. We're huge fans of Magic Spoon.
I could eat an entire box right now.
So good. I'm going to have some right after this recording. I didn't know it was in the kitchen.
It's really good. Give it a shot.
Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/crooked, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/crooked for $5 off.
All right, let's move on to another issue where Trump made big promises, failed to deliver, and is now doing the thing he criticized: Putin's invasion of Ukraine. On Monday, the president announced that the United States would resume sending weapons, including the Patriot air defense missile systems, to Ukraine. Except rather than provide the weapons directly to Ukraine, the U.S. will sell the weapons to NATO countries who will then provide them to Ukraine. So we're basically back to the Biden administration's policy, except with a few more steps in the middle. Trump also threatened Russia with 100% tariffs if a peace deal isn't reached in the next 50 days, a deadline I'm sure will hold. Here's Trump in the Oval answering some questions about the announcement.
How far are you willing to go if Putin were to escalate, send more bombs in the coming days?
Don't ask me a question like that. How far? I want to get the war settled. We want to defend our country, but ultimately, having a strong Europe is a very good thing.
How did you tell Putin this was coming?
I speak to him a lot about getting this thing done. And I always hang up and say, well, that was a nice phone call. And then missiles are launched into Kiev or some other city. And I said, strange. And after that happens 3 or 4 times, you say, the talk doesn't mean anything. He's, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy. It's been proven over the years. He's fooled a lot of people. He fooled Bush. He fooled a lot of people. He fooled Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. He didn't fool me.
Oh, he didn't fool you, huh?
Sure, it seems like
Which is why now you're
changing.
Now you're changing. Pretty significant reversal in Trump's stance on Ukraine, right?
Yeah. Also, he always sounds like he just Googled Ukraine for the first time when he talks about this, or Googled Putin for the first time. I didn't know this guy's such a dick. Some people say he was KGB. Yeah, when I first, my views on this have been evolving throughout the day. It's obviously a massive tonal shift.
Mm-hmm. How many weeks ago was it? Months ago, where we just had the Oval meeting with Zelensky, where Trump and Vance were screaming at him?
Yeah, basically beat
4
him
months
up.
ago.
Punched him in the Oval.
Yeah, right. Now it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe at some points.
Thank you. Yeah. It's not totally clear to me how much of a substantive shift it is quite yet. So the messaging has gone from, as you said, it's gone from I'll end the war in 24 hours to I'll dick around for 6 months and then solve it in 50 days. But if you think back to the 2022 messaging, remember right after the full-scale invasion, he said he wouldn't call it illegal. And he called Putin genius and called it savvy. Remember that?
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I know. It's shocking when you think about it. And then the campaign messaging on this was kind of predicated on accusing Biden of starting World War III, especially when the Biden administration let Ukraine hit targets with our long-range missile systems that were inside Russia. But then in February, there's that Oval Office meeting you're talking about. There was that weird moment where he said, Putin went through hell with me. Remember that? Talking about the Mueller probe?
God, yeah.
And so the tone today, it seems like Putin has just humiliated him, and the First Lady's given him shit about it. Right?
Yeah, that was
part of it.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the clip that we just played, but he's like, yeah, and I get off the phone with Putin, and I go home, and I say it was a nice call, and then Melania's like, well, he just bombed another city.
Good for Melania.
Yeah,
good on you, Melania. But yeah, so in the last few weeks, there was this weird announcement from the Pentagon where they said weapons shipments to Ukraine were paused. And then Trump reversed the pause. And now he's saying okay, we're going to send more weapons. We're going to do it through NATO. And also after 50 days, I'll put in 100% secondary sanctions on these other countries that do business with Russia. But none of this has happened yet. So we'll see. One expert I talked to today said he thinks this is basically the Europeans sending Ukraine weapon systems and will agree to backfill them by selling them the stuff back to the Euros. Now, that's not nothing because the Europeans can get Ukraine stuff fast, and they probably wouldn't send the high-end systems like the Patriot missile defense batteries if they didn't have a guarantee that they would get replaced because it's very long lead times.
Yeah.
And the head of NATO, Mark Rutte, who's in the meeting with Biden, said we're talking about air defense, missiles, and ammunition. So it does sound like it's not just defensive capabilities, but it's just I'll believe it when I see it. And also the guy coordinating it is Mark Whitaker. Matt Whitaker, remember him?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Remember
wasn't he was he an attorney general at one point?
He was the acting attorney general.
Right, yeah, I know.
Acting attorney general from November 2018 to February 2019, who was famous because he was on the board of a company that sold the Big Dick Toilet.
The Big Dick Toilet
Remember,
guy.
It was a masculine toilet.
Matt Whitaker, Big Dick Toilet.
So if you were a well-endowed man and traditional toilets just didn't have the space between seat to water that you needed to stay dry, he had you covered. Although I think the company was...
Who among us has not needed a Big Dick Toilet?
Listen, yeah. I think the company was ultimately shut down by the FTC because it was a scam.
Oh, surprise. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, hopefully we're selling just weapons and not the big dick toilets too.
I mean, maybe they need them. Free policy.
Fuck. Yeah, no, I kind of feel like Trump was like reverse polarized against Putin, or he was negatively polarized against Putin because of the Mueller probe, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like, they're coming after me for Putin, so now I'm going to defend Putin,
right?
Because I like Putin.
Yeah.
And also he's a tough guy and he loves dictators, right? So like Trump loves strongmen, loves authoritarians, and he's mad at the Democrats because he thinks they invented a Russia hoax, even though Russia was trying to help him win. Yeah, and and then over the years, now that he's talking about this war, he's like, oh, this guy's kind of a dick.
This guy sucks.
Yeah, he didn't fool me. He fooled Obama and he fooled Bush and he fooled all the other ones, but he hasn't fooled me. But he's kind of a dick.
It is weird strategically for Putin because like he would get off the phone with Trump. They talked on like July 3rd, and then July 4th he launches the most missiles and drones he's ever launched at Ukraine. And they're not hitting military targets. They're just hitting high-rise buildings in like Kyiv. And for a long time, if you were in the capital, you were relatively safe compared to the east of the country because of the Patriot systems, but they're just running out of interceptor missiles. And Russia can also sort of overwhelm them if they fire enough of these shitty Iranian drones in addition to ballistic missiles. So like tons of innocent people are getting killed.
I mean, it's possible that their aging authoritarian also acts on impulse and is not necessarily playing 3D chess.
Yeah, that's well said. And is a prick. And ultimately his mission is not just taking territory in Ukraine. It's kind of like undercutting the entire American system and NATO and our values and the idea that democracy is better.
Yeah. And I think that there's part of Trump that doesn't like to see a lot of war, not necessarily because he believes in peace and he cares about people all over the world, but because he knows that war is messy and that it looks bad.
Yeah.
Right. This is how he feels about Gaza and how he felt about Iran. Like anything I can do to just get wars over, to just like get all the mess off the screens because people don't like war. I think he probably thinks like that.
I agree with that. I mean, his latest thing is trying to take credit for all these kind of ceasefire deals and peace agreements and say he like deserves a Nobel Peace Prize.
Dying for that peace prize.
Yeah, like there was an agreement between Congo and Rwanda that like has a ceasefire on a conflict there, but like the devil's in the details. And like when you look at the substance of the deal, it's basically just another mineral extraction deal for the U.S. for these rare earths. And like the main militant group, the M23, was not a party to it and have not said they would agree to it. So it's like when you like dig 1 inch below the surface, it's all bullshit. But I agree with you. Like I do think there's a part of him that is genuinely knows politically war is bad.
Yes,
like
exactly.
He's trying to pull U.S. troops back from abroad, whether it's Europe or Syria or whatever.
He knows it's bad politics. Can you just say when I was listening to you guys on Pod Save the World the other week, and I hadn't heard the clip of when Bibi tells Trump that he is nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize, and then Trump says, "That means so much, especially coming from you." I was listening in public, and I laughed so hard people were looking at me.
It's like, this man... I like just bombed Iran, has like
indicted by
ICC, indicted war criminal, has killed at least 55,000.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing,
people.
But it's just
it's just so absurd. Like you literally can't believe it. Like there's literally, and by the way, the Nobel Committee is like 5 academics.
Yeah, five random Norwegians.
They're not like political actors.
Which, by the way, crazy way to decide a peace prize anyway. But like that's neither here nor there.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Anyway, speaking of Europe. Let's talk about Trump's on-again, off-again trade war. On Saturday, he announced that Europe and Mexico will face 30% tariffs starting August 1. The Europeans were like, we were negotiating. I don't know what the hell happened. This is after a week where Trump just sent a bunch of letters to different countries informing them of the tax rate we'll be imposing on ourselves when buying their products, including a 50% tariff on Brazil. That's because Trump is mad at them for putting fellow coup attempter Jair Bolsonaro on trial. Whether or not Trump actually goes through with all of this, always a mystery. The tariffs we're currently paying are already higher than they've been in 100 years. Here's what Trump said in the Oval Office on Monday about all of this.
You know, I watched the show this morning. They were talking about, well, when's he going to make the deal? The deals are already made. The letters are the deals. The deals are made. There are no deals to make. They would like to do a different kind of a deal, and we're always open to talk. We are open to talk, including to Europe.
The letters are the deals, but we're also willing to do more deals if they're willing to talk, unless we're not, because the letters are deals, but they're not deals. They're letters. Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
crystal clear.
Schrodinger's deal. Like, it's just such nonsense. It'd be nice if people just followed up. Like, sir, what the fuck were you talking about just then?
It's such a ridiculous fucking thing that we all have to pretend is serious, or that just because this is the president of the United States. But it's like he's sending these letters that are basically Truth Social posts on White House letterhead to countries, informing them that we will be levying a tax again on ourselves for all of their products. And he's just
put it that way.
And he's just and then there's no rhyme or reason. What's his face? Kevin Hassett, his economic advisor, was on TV. And John Carl of ABC was asking him, he's like, so why is he doing all of this? I thought there were going to be deals. And he's like, well, look, he thinks this is, this is good for the United States. And the United States has been ripped off. And this is how he has the authority to do this. It's because of it's a national security emergency that we're being ripped off. And we need to have these supply chains in the United States. And then John's like, okay, well, then what about Brazil? Because he said that was just because of Bolsonaro and the trial. And he's like I said, like most countries, it's overall, it's about fairness. And he's like, but that has nothing to do with anything.
Just to hammer home your point about the seriousness of these letters, like the one to the president of Bosnia and Herzegovina misgendered the president. So not a good start. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Brazil example, because that one to me, I think kind of like epitomizes the absurdity of the whole process, because the initial Liberation Day tariffs were just based on the U.S. trade deficit with all these countries, right? Like Trump thinks trade deficits are bad. If we buy more stuff from a country than we sell to them, we're getting ripped off and we're mad about that and we're angry. But the United States hasn't had a trade deficit with Brazil since 2007. We did the USTR, the United States Trade Representative website right now today says we did $92 billion in trade with Brazil in 2024, and that the U.S. trade surplus with Brazil is $7.4 billion. But like you said, we're going to slap a 50% tariff on Brazil because the former right-wing president is being prosecuted for trying to overthrow the current democratically elected government.
We have a free trade deal passed by Congress in place with South Korea. Free trade. That means no tariffs, no tax on imports, exports, going either way. And he's slapping a tariff on South Korea. Why? We don't know.
And just imagine you're them. You're like, what do I do
What
with
did we
this?
do?
What do we do with it? And again, you justify these tariffs by claiming under this law, AIPA, that there is a national security emergency that necessitates this tariff. So the national security emergency in the case of Brazil is that we don't like how Brazilian courts are prosecuting a case?
So here's my question. We are heading towards a situation where we might not have like Liberation Day level tariffs, but pretty close in most of these countries now. If we're doing 50% in Brazil and 30% in the EU and all this kind of shit. So like the markets are pretty calm. What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, they're just like ripping lines of taco. Like they don't think like, I think they think Trump likes the leverage of tariffs. I think he likes getting to announce stuff. I think he likes looking like he's taking action.
Yeah.
But they don't think he's really going to do it. I think the economic and political damage is longer term. Like, so just like one more quick thing on the Brazil piece. Like the thing we all agree on in Washington, right, is that China is the real threat. So one thing China buys from us in huge numbers is soybeans. We're talking like $15-17 billion per year. But after the 2018 U.S.-China trade war, China started looking to Brazil for soybeans. Since then, that relationship has only increased. So in practice, our tariff policy has hurt farmers in the U.S. while driving China closer to the biggest country in South America. What are we doing? What is the point of this?
It really is. He likes having the power. Like when he was saying that line in April and May about like, well, I can charge what I want. We're the world's store. Like we set the prices. He likes the idea that he is, at least in his mind, running the world, and that United States, because we're the biggest economy in the world, we have leverage over these other countries and can treat them however we want. Though he's still not understanding that, again, we are paying these taxes, and American companies are either eating the tariffs or passing them on in terms and for higher prices for consumers. And because this hasn't hit yet, because the tariffs, the cost of the tariffs really haven't factored into the economic numbers that we're getting just yet. But they will.
They will eventually.
Especially if he goes through with this August 1st deadline, which who knows. And then, then what he's going to be left with is, of course, saying this has nothing to do with the tariffs. It's Jerome Powell's fault. He should be cutting interest rates.
Exactly. And I think the markets are hoping that'll happen. They don't want Jerome Powell fired, but they do want a rate cut. And the kind of signal to the world is the way you get a deal is you wait until Eric Trump visits, and then you announce a $1.5 billion luxury golf and residential development project like Vietnam did.
Yes.
And then things work out.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, there's the personal corruption. There's the I want them to change a policy on X, Y, or Z. He's like pissed at the EU over some of their digital laws. That like he's just it's a total shakedown, and he just wants to be in control.
Yeah.
But at some point, if he keeps backing off the threats, these countries are going to be like, why would I negotiate? Who the fuck cares? This guy just keeps backing off. So it's like it's not even a good negotiating stance from Donald Trump's perspective.
Right, and a lot of these countries are better positioned now to respond than they were in the first Trump term. Like, for example, in 2024, the EU put in place a mechanism that would allow them to respond to like coercive economic behavior. And they did this because of Trump's tariffs and because of shit that China was pulling on various countries. Like if you recognize the existence of Taiwan, for example, and you're like Lithuania, like a tiny little country, they'll just hammer you. So now they have this way of kind of end running the WTO process to leverage their own kind of retaliatory economic policies if we fuck with them. And so, like, it's kind of a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens August 1st. So in the midst of Trump's worst news cycle in recent memory, guess who popped his head up to give Fox News something else to talk about?
Elmo.
That also is true.
Google it.
Someone hacked Elmo's account. It's troubling.
Wild.
No, it's Joe Biden, a man who always has the most exquisite timing. The former president decided that now is the perfect time to finally address Republicans' investigation into his administration's use of the autopen. So he granted a rare interview with the New York Times where he said that he, quote, made every decision, end quote, about his widespread pardons and clemency, and that the only reason the autopen was used to execute them was because, quote, there was a lot of them, which is standard practice at the White House when signing hundreds of documents. The interview was part of a larger Times investigation into Biden's use of the autopen, which also found that Biden approved clemency actions for groups of people rather than individuals, another common White House practice. What do you think of Biden's decision to do the interview, and more importantly, the substance of what he said about the pardons and the autopen?
I'm not ready to not be mad about the timing quite yet. It's okay. Reading the story, it seemed like someone leaked the Times a bunch of emails, right, that they somehow got about the decision-making process within the Biden White House. Mm-hmm. And they probably went to the Biden team and was like, we're going to run something on this with or without your comment. And so Joe Biden jumped on the phone with them. But like,
and Neera had testified. Neera Tanden had testified about autopen, right? So it was out that was like 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. But anyway, it's been out there, right? Like the autopen stuff. So the Biden's folks who don't like him to do any interviews with anyone just decided, okay, I guess you can jump in on this.
Does no one just say, hey, you know what, guys, it seems like Trump's having the worst week or two of his political career since January 6th, at least. Maybe we just punt on this, or we tell the Times we'll take care of you down the road. Like, yeah. The timing was so insanely fucking unhelpful. So frustrating.
It's like, do you see in that the Tyler Pager's new book and Josh Dawsey about the 2024 election? They called Biden for an interview because they got Tyler got a hold of his cell, and then they called him and got him to talk a little bit, and then Biden's staff was so mad that they changed his cell number.
No, they called him. He's like, Biden's like, I'm getting on a plane. He's like, Jill, yell choo choo. Do the whistle noise. Yeah, it was crazy. It was so funny that they changed his number and they screamed, these reporters.
So who knows how the decision was made?
Okay, sorry. We'll get back to the substance. I mean, like, there's a couple different buckets of issues. Like we've expressed frustration on past episodes about the Biden's pardons of his own family and the message it sent and how it made Democrats look like hypocrites, and how they were like kind of some perceived enemies of Trump who got pardons, but not others. And it seemed unfair, but that's kind of like a separate bucket, right? Like we don't need to revisit that unless you want to. But the allegation here is the Republicans are making is that he was essentially brain dead, mm-hmm. and that he doesn't know who he pardoned, and that his rogue staff was really running the country. And I just think that's ridiculous.
Well, and let's be clear, the pardons that they care about, right? The pardons they care about is Hunter, Liz Cheney, the preemptive pardons for the January 6th people.
Mark Milley,
yeah,
Fauci.
They're pissed about those because they want to go after those people.
Yes. And so it's clearly an effort to undo like clemency decisions about Trump's political enemies. Frankly, the fact that Republicans are doing this kind of validates what Joe Biden did in the first place.
Yes.
Right. But, you know, you're also seeing Republicans like try to make a big deal out of this idea that Trump or that Biden signed off on categories of people to pardon and not every individual. And that is dumb. Yeah. I've not personally talked to someone who handled the pardon process, but like, I think it's pretty standard to say, I'm reducing the sentences of non-violent marijuana offenders through this time period. You're not going to have Joe Biden read through a list of names of people he's never heard of before and like check them off.
Nor sign every single document for all those. That is the perfect case for an autopen.
Yes, right.
When you have like 1,000, let's say, low-level offenders that you're pardoning. Yeah, of course.
Yes. Now, the kicker on the New York Times story was that Hunter's pardon was the only one that Joe Biden signed with his own hand during that kind of period. That was not the best detail, I guess, would be my take.
Want to make sure that one you do by hand, for sure.
Yeah.
Want to take care of. That's a tough one.
I do hope, like, are reporters digging into how often and in like kind of what use cases Trump uses the autopen?
It's been reported that he has used it like all the time.
Yeah.
Not like, but like as every single president does use an autopen. It's such a weird scandal to like those of us who've been in government. Like, forget it even about before we got to the White House. Like in the Senate office with Obama, there was an autopen. There was they all use autopens.
Yes.
There's a ton of shit to sign. There's constituent mail. There's everything. Like no politician has the time to fucking sit there and sign everything, especially if you're the president of the United States.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
It's not like 1953. We're not like banks aren't comparing signature records on your checks. Like I draw a fucking circle on the receipt thing.
Yeah. One squiggly line is John Favreau.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
It's so stupid. And listeners will probably be like, okay, you're belittling. This is the presidency we're talking about. Again, like you're doing like millions of executive orders and all these, like Trump. The difference between Trump, I guess, and previous presidents is that he views every executive order or document he signs as a press event, and so he does it in front of the cameras.
This time around, yeah.
Right, this time around, but not last time.
Right. Anyway, it was stupid, but also great timing. Great timing.
Pod Save America brought to you by Armra. Why are elite athletes, business moguls, and high performers using Armra colostrum? Armra colostrum is nature's first whole food, with over 400 bioactive nutrients working at the cellular level to build lean muscle, accelerate recovery, fuel performance, all without artificial stimulants or synthetic junk. Whether you're running a business, training hard, or just want the edge,
get that edge.
In this capitalist system of ours, got to stay ahead of your competitors. How are you going to do that? With colostrum.
I got two Armra stories for you. One, very fun to say with a Boston accent. We got to get a real hardcore Bostonian to do a read with us. Work on that, please. Two, my brother-in-law swears by Armra colostrum. He's got two little kids, said he's getting sick all the time, started taking Armra colostrum, and said he never got sick again. That's awesome. Just one man's testimonial.
Before that, he was pushing little baby cows out of the way to get right at the teat. And he's like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And now there is. Probiotics and supplements are touted as a gut health solution. Most products on the market are dead before they even reach your gut. Armra colostrum naturally fortifies your entire gut wall system and optimizes your whole body microbiome, which helps guard against irritants that can trigger digestive issues and compromise your immune system. Research has shown that colostrum also helps enhance nutrient absorption. Let Armra colostrum help you reach your goals by promoting lean muscle building and fueling better performance, faster recovery. Colostrum bioactives have also been shown to reactivate hair follicle stem cells and activate collagen production, promoting hair growth and enhancing skin radiance. We've worked out a special offer. Receive 30% off your first subscription. Go to armra.com/crooked or enter crooked to get 30% off your first subscription order. That's armra.com/crooked. Armor.com/crooked. Pod Save America brought to you by Tommy John. No matter how crazy politics get, Tommy John keeps you cool, comfortable, and supported where it counts. Tommy John's proprietary fabrics are silky soft and luxurious. I know it's a good day when I have my Tommy Johns on, and it's a good day every day because I only wear Tommy John exclusively. I exclusively wear them. It's true. Feel confident all day long in underwear that are breathable, lightweight, and comfortable. Get the support you've been looking for with underwear that won't ride up. Tommy Johns are 4 times more stretchy than competing brands, but won't stretch out. Best of all, you can buy them risk-free with their money-back guarantee. Aren't you sick of taking a risk on underwear? You're shaking in your boots, afraid to click buy. You're like, I can't take this kind of a chance. Now you don't have to worry about that. I truly do wear them every day. I wear the boxer brief trunks. I got them in I have the cool cotton. I got there's something called Apollo. I don't even know if they still make those because I'm just a customer.
Yeah.
They got all these other air ones. I'm literally just going from memory because I wear them.
Don't go commando.
Don't go commando.
Support your troops with Tommy John.
That's right. Get those guys nicely nestled. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/crooked. Save 25% at TommyJohn.com/crooked. See site for details.
All right, let's end on the latest news on deportations. On Saturday, Ron DeSantis finally allowed elected officials to inspect the new Florida detention center that he and Trump call Alligator Alcatraz. But this was only after the lawmakers sued DeSantis for blocking access. The tour was heavily restricted. They weren't allowed to speak with detainees or examine any occupied cells up close. But the lawmakers described what they saw as, quote, vile, inhumane, gross, and likened it to an internment camp. Democratic Congressman Maxwell Frost said he saw 32 people per cage and heard people yelling, "Help me, help me." He heard someone else yell, "I'm a U.S. citizen."
Jesus.
Sure enough, the Miami Herald reported that over 250 people being held at the facility have no criminal record. There's about 900 people right now, 250 with no criminal record. I think there was another 250 to 300 who have who their criminal record is like traffic violations, lower level crimes, and then a third that are who the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and Florida officials say they're going after, the worst of the worst people with violent crimes. So one lawyer said her client is a dreamer with legal status, could not believe when she heard the news that her client was in Alligator Alcatraz, because she's like, this person is a DACA recipient. They have legal status, been here for years and years and years, and just shocked that they ended up there. Other lawyers said they can't get access to their clients, and when they call, they get like a runaround, and no one is like telling them how to talk to their clients. Mm-hmm. Family members say their loved ones report power outages, sweltering hot conditions, broken toilets, feces all over the place, worms in the food, trouble getting medication, not being able to take showers. Awful. I don't know. What has your reaction been to the reports coming out of this place from now elected officials, lawyers, journalists, family members?
Yeah, I mean, it is awful, but it's also not surprising. I mean, I think they built Alligator Alcatraz in like 8 days.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, 250 people out of 700 have no criminal conviction or charges. Like, these are not the worst of the worst. And like, Trump was like kind of goofing around when he talked about how like you have to learn to run in a zigzag if you escape from Alligator Alcatraz because alligators are going to eat you. But like, we are talking about like killing people who did nothing wrong except for like maybe overstay a visa, or, you know, at worst, are American citizens who got wrongly swept up. I mean, it's just, this is a facility. It's not a facility. It's tents and trailers.
Yep.
It's people in cages that look like dog kennels. You go 5 days without showering. There's toilets are overflowing. Like, it's in the Florida Everglades. Can you imagine what it is like on July 14th? It's so hot, swampy, like there's mosquitoes everywhere. It sounds like hell on earth.
I saw that, you know, our pal Jesse Waters in the Five, they were like making fun of the complaints about mosquitoes. They're like, oh no, mosquitoes are biting. Google this. There's reporters, like local reporters, television reporters in Florida, who've been just near the facility, right? Like not even inside, and they can't even speak in their live hits because the mosquitoes are in their mouth. And this reporter's like,
torture.
He's like, he's wearing this this hood and this heavy jacket, and he's like, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing this heavy jacket and this hood in 90-degree weather here. It's because I can't walk without getting just eaten alive by mosquitoes. And that's just the mosquitoes. That's not, and then there's the worms in the food and the feces and the toilets that aren't working and the showers that aren't working, the power outages. I mean, it is fucking disgusting. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she was one of the lawmakers who went, she was like, look, there's another immigration detention center in Miami-Dade that like, the people being held there can walk from building to building. They're like allowed to go outside. There's like better meals. She's like, it's not like this is not like what detention centers are supposed to be.
It doesn't need to be this way. And what happens when there's a storm? or a hurricane. It's like, it's crazy. And like the lawyers can't get in touch with these people. You're just getting lost in this system that is like Kafkaesque by design. And this is, this is the ghost of Christmas future. I mean, like Kristi Noem says she's in touch with 5 Republican governors about building facilities like this. This is what we should expect will be done with the billions and billions of dollars in ICE funding that was just passed by Congress. And by the way, I'm not like seeing a lot of coverage of plans to triple resources for the immigration court system or hire a bunch of immigration judges to actually speed up the process. It's just like the plan is to build the shittiest prisons in the world, get a bunch of private prison companies paid in the process, and then let people rot.
Well, and so here's what a lot of these immigration lawyers are concerned about, and this is what they think they're doing, which is make the conditions so horrible that they are forcing people who go there to agree to self-deport or to give up their asylum claims, because you can like sign a document and say all right, I'm out. And then that's how they just get people out. So that's how they clear the backlog. Instead of actually hiring more judges to hear these people's asylum claims, they're just putting them in horrible conditions to force them out of the country. Stephen Miller also like went on Fox and encouraged other red states like Kristi Noem to build their own. And of course, if you're a red state and you're like some politicians like fucking the Attorney General in Florida, whose brainchild this was, Uthmeier, you get attention, right? Like you do this, you become a star, it helps your political career. And so, of course, other red states are going to do this. And the other challenge now is this is in a legal gray area, because it is when ICE and DHS are called for comment about this shit, they're like, well, we're not running this. This is the state of Florida. And so ICE is like, oh, there's no federal oversight, even though they're getting federal money they're going to be able to get reimbursed and get more federal money from the bill. So they get federal money to do this, but then the federal government and ICE gets to say, we don't know what's going on there. And that's why some of these lawyers can't even get access to their clients.
I think this has kind of always been part of kind of the big picture plan, was to almost build a parallel process.
Yep, extrajudicial.
Sort of outside of the traditional immigration structures and laws and processes that demand accountability or have a little bit of oversight, and just do shit like this.
Yeah. There was also some deportation news here in California over the weekend. On Friday, a federal judge in Los Angeles temporarily blocked federal agents from using racial profiling to carry out indiscriminate immigration arrests in California. The judge found that a person's race, language, job, or location does not constitute, quote, reasonable suspicion, and therefore violates the Fourth Amendment, which protects people against unreasonable search and seizure. The judge also issued a separate ruling that bars the federal government from restricting attorney access at Los Angeles deportation facilities. Stephen Miller took the news in stride by accusing the judge of waging an insurrection against the United States. Real chill. But J.D. Vance apparently thinks that Southern California is still safe enough for a family vacation. He spent the weekend here at Disneyland, where he was booed by other people at the park, mostly over deportations. In fairness to J.D., though, he did gift all of us this incredibly entertaining video of him attempting to run. Do you think that was his first time running? Did he have weights in his shoes?
I can't wait till he issues some like 2,000 word outraged, self-righteous tweet about I was going to check on my child. Like,
yeah, well, he could have got to the kid faster if he didn't run like that.
It's also, I think our friend Peter Hamby has long clocked that JD just has a really weird kind of walk motion. It's sort of like a hand forward kind of goofy.
And also, anytime the guy is out of a suit, it's like, what is he? His fashion sense.
Yeah,
very troubling.
Yeah, I think you said he dresses like he's going to a club in 2008, but in like Orlando.
Yeah, yes, that is exactly right. That is exactly right.
He fucking sucks. That guy is so annoying. He's such a hypocritical prick. Like, and yet, you know what? Like, as a general matter, do I think it's? I don't know. Like, it'll probably just make him dig in further. I don't care.
Yeah, like,
let's make fun of him.
He got booed at Disneyland. Newsom tweeted like, "Oh, I hope you're enjoying your vacation. The families you're ripping apart aren't." And then like Stephen Miller went in on Newsom and was like, "The governor of California thinks the only way you can staff Disneyland is with mass migration." Just like, what?
What?
And
talking about Mickey, Minnie.
And then JD Vance, responded to Newsom and just said, "Thanks."
He's such a loser. I mean, and the White House communications director said something like really horrible and personal about Gavin Newsom. Just like
cool.
Shocking. But yeah, look, I don't know. He's such an asshole. I'm glad, first of all, shout out to Gavin's. We're talking to him tomorrow for his podcast. I don't know if we were supposed to announce that or not, but we just did. But I would say this to his face because I really believe it. His team's social media presence and like aggressiveness in punching has been very fun to watch the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
it's like they're really going after it, and it's not like it's not the sometimes cheesy, cringy DNC version.
Right.
It's like they're doing some funny stuff.
Yeah, it's not corny. It's not. It's just fun. They're just taking shots.
Also, Democrats have gotten better. I'll say that the Democrats' account has gotten better over the last couple of weeks.
Well, they're just taking a page from Trump's book, right?
Yeah.
They're being a little inflammatory. They're getting attention. They're picking fights, like all the things it takes to go viral. I thought, Dan's conversation with Mark Cuban about all of this, I thought was really smart over the weekend.
Very smart. What do you make of the immigration rulings we got and Miller's response? Like, it is. I took it as some good news, but of course, they're going to appeal it. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I just think what people we live in LA, and I think what people need to understand about what ICE is doing is just terrorizing communities all across California, especially in Los Angeles. Like their parks near my house are empty because there used to be lots of Latino families there, and like they're not. A lot of them were citizens. A lot of them had green cards, but now people are just scared to go out in public because there might be an ICE raid. And I think maybe this is popular with like 20% of the country, but like normie Republicans even are saying this is not what I voted for. Like Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Andrew Schultz are like, we voted to get criminals out of the country, not people who have been here for 20 years who are working really hard.
You, for fun, like to listen to debates that Alex Jones moderates with Nick Fuentes. In my spare time on yesterday on Sunday, beautiful day out, I sat outside and I listened to Dasha Burns' interview with Tom Homan on the Playbook podcast.
That's mean to you. Why'd you do that?
I don't know, because I was like, what is Tom Homan? And he's such a fucking liar. His whole response to her about all this was, there is no profiling. What happens is we're going after the worst of the worst. We have lists of people that we're going after. And if while we're going after those people, we happen to see other immigrants who are here without status, who are undocumented, of course we're going to scoop them up too. But we're not intentionally going after people who aren't the worst of the worst. We're starting with the worst of the worst. And I'm like, that it's just like, it's not true. Like, local officials don't believe that's true. The courts don't believe that's true. The videos that people are seeing with their own fucking eyes don't believe that's true. When ICE officers are like, "Oh, I got a lot today. I hit the number today. Trump's really driving us. Stephen Miller's really driving us on how to get these deportations." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
This is entirely happening because Stephen Miller shouted at people at ICE and told them they need to get rid of more migrants. I don't understand it. Look, this is Stephen Miller's project. It's the only thing he's passionate about, so I understand why the administration is doing it. Politically, I actually think it's stupid. I don't think anyone really wants this. I think Trump could be going to the border saying, I closed it down, what a great success I am, and then just slowly, methodically actually get out criminals without, collapsing industries and like chasing people through fields at farms in California. I'm gonna racially profile for a second, and I'm gonna say that Tom Homan is a thug who's like a wannabe like Tony Soprano community theater impersonator. Have you seen him? Like whenever he goes to does a little press conference, he walks out and he pops out his sleeve and he starts twisting his fucking pinky ring. He's a big tough guy.
He is, and listening to him yesterday, I was like, oh, he really believes he has internalized all of this stuff.
Yeah, they all believe it.
He really thinks, he's like, you don't know what I've seen in my career and some of the violence and whatever. It's like, I'm sure there are some undocumented immigrants here, just like there are American citizens who've committed horrible fucking crimes and should be held accountable. 100%. But like, that is not what we're all seeing on these videos.
It just doesn't justify doing anything.
One last thing, wasn't sure where to put this, but Trump also posted the following on Saturday morning, bright and early, quote, "Because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interests of our great country, I am giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship. She is a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her." Is that how citizenship works, Tommy? You lose your citizenship if the president doesn't like you?
Imagine you're Rosie O'Donnell. In 2006, you pick a fight with Donald Trump on The View. Now this guy is the president, And he's like,
it's like that domino meme.
Yeah. You criticize his handling of that year's like Miss USA pageant, and all of a sudden this man's like trying to strip your citizenship. Like it's like there's something that's funny about it's almost like OG Trump, right? Like this was his original kind of bit, was like picking fights with her and being just a prick. But like it is fascism to just strip citizenship from people.
It's funny and crazy, but it underlying it is a very dangerous project that they are engaged in. And, you know, the announcement the other week that they are, I think you and Lovett talked about it on the pod, kicking up the denaturalization process. Now, denaturalization, even if you try to denaturalize someone, you can only denaturalize someone who was an immigrant and became a citizen here. This is like, oh, this is an American citizen who was born here, and now he's just trying to denaturalize Rosie O'Donnell. And whether he's joking or not, he's at least putting out there that I'm the president and I get to decide who is a citizen and who isn't.
And I think he called it a threat to humanity, which means I'm going to kill you, as far as I can tell. I mean, also, she moved to Ireland in part because she is a non-binary child, and I think has a completely justified concern about this administration's policies in the way that they are not just trying to target her child legally, but also constantly demagogue these kids in the cruelest way possible. Like the president of the United States is the meanest bully possible, and he's like punches down at like kids, at like trans athletes in high school.
And I don't think this is just a Trump thing. Like we know it's Stephen Miller. I think JD, like this project where the federal government gets to define who is an American and who isn't, right? Mm-hmm. Like for a long time, Trumpy people and Republicans have tried to say like, oh, we're patriotic, you're not, whatever. But this project, which is actually like, we get to decide who's a citizen and who should stay and who should leave.
Yeah.
So this was sort of went unnoticed, but JD Vance, he gave a speech at the Claremont Institute on July 5th. Out here, right? Very conservative think tank.
Super right-wing, yeah.
And in that speech, and I guess because it was like a day after July 4th, this was on his mind, he said, and I saw this at Talking Points Memo reported on this, he said, identifying America just with agreeing with the principles, let's say, of the Declaration of Independence, that's a definition that would include hundreds of millions, maybe billions of foreign citizens who agree with the principles of the Declaration. But conceiving American citizenship purely as an idea would reject a lot of people that the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, would label as domestic extremists, even though those very Americans had their ancestors fight in the Civil War. So this is J.D. Vance now saying the idea that, we're all created equal, everyone's endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, that the idea, America is an idea, and he alluded to this in his convention speech too. The whole America is an idea and its principles, and like everyone who wants to believe in American ideals has a chance to become a citizen. They don't like this. And you're seeing this a lot more now, that they're like, oh, the Declaration of Independence and the whole thing that we're all created equal. This is not what America's supposed to be. America is blood and soil and your ancestors. And, just because your relatives were Confederates and stuff like that, like just because they didn't believe in equality, that doesn't mean that they don't have a right to this land. I mean, it's an extremely dangerous idea that has been circulating on the far, far right for a while now, and now is being given voice by the Vice President of the United States, the president who's threatening to fucking revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship, and Stephen Miller, who's been doing this project his whole life.
And they're all into this like goofball Curtis Yarvin who believes we need to return to a monarchy.
Yep.
Because that'll end well. Yeah, I mean, they've been doing this kind of revisionist history project for a while. I mean, remember after the 1619 project came out from the New York Times, they lost their minds and they created this thing called the 1776 Commission, which put forward a more patriotic, view of, history, America's founding. And it is North Korea shit. Like every government, every country tells its own story. I don't mean to overstate it, but the blood and soil nationalism is a dangerous, dangerous game.
And it is the center of the authoritarian project, right? That they have in this country, and then in other countries too, which is like, there's racism, there's xenophobia, there's sexism, there's all of it. But at the core, it's if you're on our team and you're loyal to us, you can stay. If you're not, if you challenge us, you have to go.
Yeah. And also, if you look like us, you're welcome. And if you don't, you got to leave, even if you have legal status. I mean, look at all the TPS designations. Like, we're sending people from Haiti back to their country and saying it's safe, but saying it's unsafe for white farmers in South Africa. So they're welcome to this country as refugees.
Yeah. So Keep running, JD Vance.
Yeah, he's the worst.
He's the worst. There's a new poll out today. They did a Republican primary poll for 2028. Echelon did, and he's running away with it right now. Way out there from Ron DeSantis, which you can kind of.
It's all name ID.
You should name ID, but like crush Ron DeSantis.
What if Don Jr. will take him on? Or Eric went to the FT and like floated that he thought he might run for president someday, or that his family is another political project.
Good for you, Eric.
Yeah.
Good for you. Best of luck. All right, one quick note before we go. Last week, Vote Save America launched a brand new pilot program to recruit candidates in Arizona, North Carolina, and Texas. We're talking school board, city council, state legislature. These are local races that first of all, a lot of them. There's not a Democratic candidate, and so you can't win if you don't run. So we need to fill those slots with Democratic candidates, and this is the way to win local and state races to like build long-term Democratic power, especially in these purple states. And we're kicking things. First of all, we have been overwhelmed.
It's incredible
with the response.
It's amazing.
Just like you and I, we never thought like our team at Vote Save America, conceived of this, and they've done such a great job. But I didn't think the response would be this great. It's been wild.
It's extraordinary, and it tells you there's a lot of like amazing people who listen to this show who have just done a lot and gotten really politically engaged over the years and are excited to take that next step. And thank you for considering that. There's room for more. There's room for a lot more.
Way more.
We need to run a Democrat in every race at every level, because that's how you build power at the local level, and that's how you build a bench for the party for the long term and kind of groom the next generation of leaders.
And VSA is doing a live call this Wednesday, July 16th, to sort of kick things off. And I guess you're joining, right?
I'll be there. I can't wait.
Perfect. So if you've even thought about running, or even if you haven't, but now you're interested, this is where to start. Sign up for the kickoff call and learn more at votesaveamerica.com/run. Paid for by Vote Save America. You can learn more at votesaveamerica.com. And this ad has not been authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. All right, that is our show for today. Dan's back from vacation, and he and I will be back in your feed on Friday. See you then.